I'm Beth Cortez.
And this is your friend.
This is my friend Amber Ponce.
And both of them are married to pastors.
We are.
Woohoo.
Yes, we're in the church and we're fighting for you guys. I'm Beth Co on Periscope.
Beth Co.
Beth Co. It just didn't fit Beth Cortez, so it stopped at Co. I'm like, it's kind of cute. I'll keep it.
Beth Co. Okay, here she is. All right, so let's hear about your injury first with the tetanus. Now, when we talk about tetanus, you have no idea whether it's single tetanus or DTaP or DTP. How long ago was it?
Okay, so I'm 39. You guys have to help me.
Okay, you have to do the math, Periscope.
And I was 14. So I don't know what they were giving that
Tell us what
year
happened.
of life. It was like in 94. Is that right? I don't know. You guys fix my math. But so what happened is my mom is kind of like a hippie mom, which is weird because she's a nurse, but she was just kind of in that, she always would tell me, they change the regulations on everything all the time. She's like, they'll tell you to take this diet and do that thing, and they're just always changing it. She's like, so whatever you think is the law now, it's going to all change in 10 years. So why should we really take it with much more than a grain of salt? And so she like instilled that in my head. So she never got us our vaccines. She just didn't really understand why we would need false immunity, you know? And so, and also she didn't get pressured, and we were also never sick, so we never went to the doctor for anything. So we didn't end up in that situation where she was bullied into getting stuff. But when I went to high school, I was very athletic, and I wanted to play basketball. And I was trying out for the team, and the coach said, she's like, you can't come to practice tomorrow if you don't sign something that says you're going to go, like, get your tetanus shot. So I told my mom, let's go. I got to play basketball. Like, I didn't even care. I didn't know what the tetanus shot was about. But I was like, let's go. We got to do this. I have to play basketball. So, and then after that, I started actually collapsing. Like, I started fainting.
Right, how far after it?
It's been so long, and I can't remember the exact timeline, but it was shortly after, because it was that year. I know it was that school year, because I didn't end up being able to play basketball. So it had to have been quickly after that, because I was like fainting. I was having fainting spells. I started getting terrible migraines. I started like having night terrors. I'd lay back in my bed, and I'd just see like images like flashing through my head, and I'd have these terrible dreams, and I'd wake the whole house up screaming. My family would run in and shake me, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm fine." I didn't realize what all was going on. And so with the fainting spells, then they start sending me to the doctor for CAT scans, and they're like, "You probably have cancer in your brain." I'm like, great. So basically that kicked me out of basketball. And then
that's awful. You got kicked out.
I just couldn't even play. So I didn't get kicked out, I shouldn't say that.
But
my body didn't keep up with what they were requiring of me. And I grew, you can see my beautiful scar, I grew a tumor on the arm of injection, and they took the stitches out too early.
So wait, that's where you had the vaccine?
It's on this arm. I have a scar like here, so it just traveled a little down the arm.
Oh my God.
And the doctor that took it out said he'd never seen anything. It was like encapsulated. He said it was this weird hard shelled capsule, just fully like the size of a pencil top, but it had a hard shell around it. And he said he had to dig way in there to get it all. So he showed it to me. It was nuts. But that was from the vaccine. I know that now. But at the time, nobody said anything. So then, and then I started struggling in my studies, because I had these terrible migraines, and I would just fall asleep while I was studying. And I would just cry for no reason. And I'm being told, it's just hormones. You're 14. Come on, But I never had that before. And I mean, I don't know. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I'd get bronchitis over and over and over again, and had to go on antibiotics. And so anyways, it just seems like it was like one thing after the other. But after maybe like 3 years, it just seemed like it kind of just settled down. Everything stopped, and I started gaining traction again on my health, and started not having to see the doctor for anything anymore, and that kind of stuff. So it passed. And then years and years and years and years and years go by. So that's basically my story.
And we don't know whether it was the single tetanus or the DTaP or the DTP or whatever it was, because they just, even now, if you say I want my tetanus, I just give you the DTaP and whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea. That was in Spokane, Washington. Like, I don't know how many years ago. 20, how old am I? 39? It was a long time ago, 25 years ago. So I don't even think, I know for sure that doctor isn't practicing anymore, and I don't even know if they have that medical insurance anymore that I had, like that group. It was a group plan. Group health, I think is what it was. So, and after that, though, actually that's not the end of my story, because down the road, I developed mono. I had an enlarged spleen, that kind of stuff. And so mono is, it's the pits, guys. It's the pits. You just want to sleep all the time. So, yeah. So anyways, I had that.
And you've, since then, you have not had any more vaccines?
No, nothing.
Good for you. So you get pregnant?
Yes. And when I get pregnant, they're like, don't do vaccines, right? This is 10 years ago. Like, don't get vaccines.
Who's saying don't?
Like the doctor. We don't want you to do, we don't even want you to take drugs of any kind. Like, they're like, if you have a headache, just, try to write it out, kind of a thing. Like, we just don't really know. Here's the list of things that are approved, and then these things aren't. So it's kind of weird, because I'm going into my first pregnancy where they're just like, go as natural as you can. You've got a baby growing in your belly. And then by the fourth kid, every single appointment, I'd walk in the door, the nurse would say, you're not up to date on your vaccines. You can go do that right after this. And then you'd go sit in the office, and she'd get you alone with the door shut and type in on her thing. And I'm going to put you down that you're going down right now to go get your whatever, whooping cough and flu shot. And I'd say, like, I'm not getting it. And then the actual doctor would come in, do the checkup, and say, my nurse let me know you're not up to date on your shots. And then you go get weighed on the way out, and they're like, okay, so when you go get your shots, you just go down to the blah, blah, blah. And so I had to literally face resistance every 6 feet, about the shots. And so I stopped going to my appointments.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's just horrific.
I went to the important ones. If there was like special tests to get done, I went, and otherwise I didn't go.
I don't blame you.
It was awful. I would just come out crying because they don't listen. They just don't listen. I tell them I don't want them. Well, you should. You're putting your child in danger. And I just want to go on like, no, the vaccine's danger, put my kids in danger. I have a story, but they don't care, They don't care about the story. So, like, you don't care about me. I don't care about you and your vaccines. I'll be on my way. And I'm going to pray big that we have a good, healthy baby and we just get through this unscathed.
Hashtag pray big. Super bonus amen.
Super bonus amen. So
then what happened?
So when I had my son, I was 28. Didn't get any vaccines while I was pregnant. But I was a nail technician actually right down the street over here. I did nails, manicures and pedicures. Acrylics and stuff. So I'd have all kinds of interesting people come through and have conversations, and I had a lot of people that worked at chiropractic offices or regularly go. I had people always telling me about organic food, and when I was pregnant they started saying, like, have you looked into like the vaccine thing? And I was like, I haven't looked into the vaccine thing. Should I be looking into the vaccine thing? And they just be like, I have a pamphlet at my chiropractor's office. I'll try to remember to get that to you. And I never got one. Nobody ever actually remembered to bring it. But I call them my angels, like that God sent me messengers to kind of like warn me of impending doom. I know that sounds crazy. I'm all dramatic about it. Anyways, so I just had no idea what I was getting into, honestly. So the first thing you do is have a baby, and they're rubbing him up with ointment and giving him vitamin K, which sounds so great. And then they're asking you about the Hep B. And so I just remember like the voice in my head of the lady that said, you really should look at the ingredients of the vaccines before you get any. Like, just even at the hospital, like, you shouldn't even do it unless you've looked at the ingredients. And so I told the nurse, I said, no, I'm going to just wait on the Hep B till I know what's in the shots and stuff. I need the list. And so she goes, oh, honey, she's like, that's such a good decision. And I was all, really? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. And she said, yeah, she goes, that's a sexually transmitted disease. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that it was a sexually transmitted disease because I've done no homework. I have no idea about what all this vaccine madness is. So I was encouraged, though. It was really very encouraging because she was like, oh, yeah, just wait, do your homework, whatever. And still, and then I go home, and you guys know what it's like to have a brand new baby. You're not sleeping. You're lucky if you're eating. You're just like sitting there feeding a baby all day long, it feels like, not showering because you can't put him down. I have no family nearby. So it was just me and my hubby, and we're just trying to power through this sleep deprivation, and I didn't get to the reading, and you know what I mean? Like those priorities, it was like maybe 100 on the list. It wasn't number 1 on the list, and I was only hitting the top 3 of priorities with the new baby. So I go and well, the pediatrician, they visit you at the hospital, and they schedule you right there. They're like, okay, I'll see you in this many days. Okay, don't know you, but I'll find you and we'll go take our baby. And so we took the baby, and I told the lady, I said, the doctor, I said, I haven't read yet about vaccines, so I'd like to wait. She goes, oh, no, they're safe. She goes, we use dead viruses, and so you can be rest assured there is nothing to worry about. So we got the vaccines, nothing happened that day, nothing, I mean, I didn't notice anything. Then you get the bill. This is what I was talking about in the parking lot. This ticks me off. Then they bill you like $300 for this stuff that is...
For injuring your child.
Yes. Hi, can you injure my child and let me pay you for it? Awesome. That's why I'm so angry. Part of the reason why I'm so angry. So so nothing happened though that time, and then I took him back. But I had to take him late because I had to finish paying my bill first, and I was so broke as a first-time mom. On a pastor's salary, just had to wait to finish paying the bill before I could schedule the appointment. So he was a little delayed, thank God, you know. Take him in and get him his stuff, and they're like, oh, we'll catch him up, don't worry. And I said, not today, let's not catch him up. I just had this weird hesitation. Still hadn't learned anything. And before I even left, I was by myself that day. My husband was out of town and no family nearby. I take him out. I'm starting to take him out of the appointment. He's already starting this really crazy cry that I have never heard before. Fussy, like I've never seen. His face was so red. And I thought, he's just mad. He's just mad that like, I got to get him out of here. Take him to the car. And he is like on fire. But I was already in the parking lot. And so I just said, I'm going to take him home. I'll call the doctor if necessary. I'll take him to the ER if necessary. But this place, I'm getting out of this place. I'll go nurse him. We'll see what happens. He's like, I don't remember his temperature, but he just started like arching his back, and his eyes were kind of in the back of his head, and this high-pitched scream. I'm calling my mom. She's like, I don't know. It sounds like he had a reaction to what happened. So I call the doctor's office, and the nurse gets on the phone, give him Tylenol, you know, the same story that everybody gets. Give him Tylenol, nothing's helping. Well, he's like, it's not his vaccines, it's just a coincidence.
Who said that?
The nurse. It's just a coincidence.
There's a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that causation, correlation actually applies here because we weren't even out of the office. Do you know what I mean? It's like 10 minutes didn't even go by between the shots and the reaction. How could it have been anything else? He was perfect before that. He wasn't running a temperature. He wasn't showing any signs of listlessness or like tiredness or anything. He was alert. He was making eye contact. He was just bubbly and doing his little baby thing he does, and started all that immediately after. So when that nurse told me that it wasn't the vaccines, and I knew it was, I was done. that was it. I was done. He was like 4 months old, 5 months old, and I was just like, I'm done with you people. She goes, just bring him in tomorrow and we'll check him over. And I said, so that you can tell me it wasn't the vaccines and just like pump him full of drugs. And she's like, oh, honey, you're overreacting. And now the things I know now, I'm just like, I wasn't overreacting. I was having like a rational reaction. That's the reaction that we should all be having. Not saying, here, let me give you my kid again so you can make this worse next time or whatever. But the trust was broken like a fissure. Like it was such a far wide gap of trust that had broken that day that I was just like, I can't, you have to earn my trust back. I can't trust you, so I'm not taking my kid there ever again. And so, not for vaccines, you know, I mean, if he needed something, like he was really medically ill and needed some attention, I would take him, but just not for vaccines. So, and then he just kept the febrile, I found out it was a febrile thing, febrile, they call it an encephalitic cry, that his brain was swelling and putting pressure, and that was what was causing it. So, moving on to the next part of the story, I'm not sure how soon after this happened. My husband was back at the time, so it was probably a few days later. We had this thing that we had bought called an Angel Care baby monitor sensor under his crib mattress. Have you heard of these? Yeah. So basically you set it to a certain sensitivity and it can detect, it's laying under there, and it can detect if the baby stops moving. And I bought that because I have a cousin that died of SIDS. And so I was like, if he stops breathing in the middle of the night, like at least we will know right away and we can shake him or something. So I bought this way before having him. And so it was all there set up, and it went off in the middle of the night. He had stopped breathing and we ran in and it just shook him a little, you know, not like violently, but just like shook him a little. And he came out of it. He kind of like gasped out of it, and we took him outside and walked him around in the cold to kind of like just wake him up. And it happened again a few days later. He stopped breathing in the middle of his sleep. So I know he would have been a SIDS case if we didn't have that. And I just think of, oh, how God led me, you know, my angels. I just think of my angels. And so I started studying and found Andy's study online, and he's my other angel. Thank you, Andy, if you're watching.
As in Andy Wakefield.
And yes, the message.
That's nice.
He is. I could cry.
He's going flying to Europe tomorrow. He needs all the angels and prayers he can get as he sets into that whole scene.
Scary, yeah. It's good to have men fighting for us. I have my story, and then I watch Periscope, and I'm like, wow, I really dodged a bullet with my son, because he's pretty healthy, you know. I don't think people would ever know that he had that story, that he almost died. And I try not to tell him or anything. I don't want to freak him out. But
there's a load of love coming in for Andy now.
Aww.
I have to tell him to watch this Periscope now, Suki, because he loves looking at hearts. One more name on the bus, then we're going to go and find that hospital.
Yeah, Dr. Donahoe. That's right.
You get the pen, Johnny?
Do you want me to put my name too?
Yeah, you're Indian. I'm still in Tetler.
Yeah, and I have Autumn Newhouse. Way down the road. I
can't see anything, it's so bright out here. There we go, what's her number?
Alright. Where should I give it?
Wherever you like.
4740. Justin was the last guy, right? Yeah, 4740.
There we are. I need to take a picture of that.
Oops. Good job. Alright, so we'll come off social media, and then we'll see you
At the hospital.
Thank you guys. Long day. Great. Always.